What's up, guys? My name is Blind Mike, and this is a program called More on Money. So if that isn't enough to tell you that this isn't financial advice, I don't know what is. I'm clearly not a financial advisor. I'm a dummy. So don't just blindly, listen to me, and don't listen to anyone with what to do with your money. Make sure you do your own research and you're comfortable. And everything I talk about here, I think about for the long term. I don't know much about trading, so just know all of that going into this. And let's dive in because the markets are manipulating you, whether you like to believe it or not. Um, all indications are that hedge funds, institutions, and billionaires, and even politicians and governments are getting into Bitcoin and some other cryptocurrencies. Yet the news and the media will have you believe that this is doomsday for Bitcoin and we're on the verge of a collapse and crypto's coming to an end and it's a fad and everything else they want to tell you. So it's difficult to figure out what to believe, especially if you follow Elon Musk's Twitter, which is very silly to do. Don't do anything based on Elon Musk tweeting an emoji or a Baby Shark song. Um, so I talked yesterday about George Soros, who appears to be getting into the Bitcoin trading world. And no one mentioned it yesterday, so maybe I did explain it well, but I felt like I didn't. I talked about on patreon.com/blindmike if you'd like to help support the channel. Also, you can help support the channel in a free way by just liking, subscribing, doing everything that every other channel tells you to do, because this is a very small YouTube channel and I'd like to grow it. So if you'd be so kind as to do all that. But I talked on patreon.com/blindmike about George Soros yesterday, and I referred to it as a bad thing. And I figured I'd clarify that for you guys if it didn't make sense. What I mean is, if he's trading Bitcoin, I think that's a bad thing for the price because I suspect that means manipulation. And I'll tell you more about why in a couple minutes. But realistically, I like to hear the guys are accumulating, not that they're trading Bitcoin. And they say they want to test the markets and all that. And that's all well and good. But look what happened when Elon Musk tested the market. And he admitted that he was just trying to prove Bitcoin's liquidity. And yet people still were in a panic when Tesla sold a little bit of their Bitcoin. So watch out for that. Be aware of what George Soros is doing, but also keep an eye on this. So Altcoin Daily did a very good job of breaking this down last night. I watched their video, and they brought up a clip from Alex Jones on Rogan in 2019, I believe. And, you know, Alex Jones is a crazy guy and says a lot of outlandish things, but he's also been right at times. So just be aware of that. And he has told the truth at times. So just be aware of that as well. When you see Altcoin Daily played the clip of Alex Jones on Joe Rogan talking about how in like 2011, 2012, around there, George Soros came to Alex Jones and said, well, not George Soros, one of George Soros's people said, hey, George really likes you, but you have to stop talking about him. And if you pump the price of Bitcoin, he'll give you $5 million. Now, maybe Alex Jones is just talking out of his ass, but that's a very believable thing to me. I believe billionaires would do that. I believe they want to manipulate the price. And that would also suggest that George Soros was into Bitcoin in 2011 or 12. Now, why would Alex Jones know that George Soros had any interest in Bitcoin? He wouldn't unless that happened, right? Possibly a coincidence. Possibly Alex Jones is just lying. But then why would George Soros be trading Bitcoin in 2021? It all seems a little too coincidental to me, but take it with a grain of salt, if you will. But to continue building my case, Jamie Dimon is a guy I've talked about a lot on the channel because he has come out with talk about Bitcoin that is very negative. He says Bitcoin's useless. He's dumped on Ethereum. Suggested people get out of cryptocurrency. And yet JP Morgan seems to do everything to the contrary. There have been massive price predictions. They've opened Bitcoin funds, and now they have shown that, or they believe that Ethereum, contrary to what Jamie Dimon says, their staking will lead to a $40 billion staking industry, where Ethereum and other coins that prove proof of stake or use proof of stake will be a $40 billion industry. So why is JP Morgan saying that if Jamie Dimon doesn't like Bitcoin? Possibly because Jamie Dimon knows that when he speaks It carries a big. He speaks softly and carries a big stick, if you will. I guess that doesn't really apply there. My point is, Jamie Dimon can move the markets, and he's very aware of that. And I'll tell you more about that in a second as well. But if you're asking yourself, what is staking? Well, staking is kind of part of the reason I liked a guy like Andrew Yang, because Andrew Yang, when other politicians were saying we should just put regulation, we should stop smart cars and other technologies from ruining certain industries. Instead, Andrew Yang said, well, rather than quelling innovation, rather than stopping people from innovating and technology from growing, how about we try and figure out a way, for people to have some sort of base level income, so they won't be as affected by this major shift that's clearly going to happen, whether or not we try and regulate it. And maybe universal basic income isn't the way to do that, but maybe staking is. Staking is a form of passive income where essentially you make money for just keeping your Ethereum in your computer, and that's set to be done. You've heard me talk about the layer 2 solution in the past. Upgrades have come in June and July. The big one being Ethereum starting to burn Ethereum. So, there was never the reason one of the reasons people like Bitcoin is because there's a scarcity to it. There's only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be mined. That's not the case with Ethereum. It was limitless. But now they're talking about burning Ethereum, which would make it a deflationary asset. So that makes Ethereum very appealing to a lot of people. And staking makes it even more appealing, where you can make money on your Ethereum, like I said, just passively for just having it. So JP Morgan looks at that very fondly, and more credit to Altcoin Daily. These guys did a very good job. They showed an interview, and the reason I give Altcoin Daily credit, this is just an interview that happened. I think Glenn Beck did it. So let that, the fact that I'm citing Alex Jones and Glenn Beck, let that factor in however you want. But Teeka Tiwari did this interview, and he's talking about people like George Soros manipulating the market. Now, you don't see interviews like this everywhere. And they'll use the excuse of, well, it's Glenn Beck. We don't want to give him a platform and things like that. But Teeka Tiwari is making some very interesting arguments, and he brings up the internet bubble and people buying into internet stocks. And he says, in 1994, people were buying into Microsoft and Apple and AOL and all these Netscape, a bunch of internet stocks. And billionaires were telling you, get out of this is a fad. This is silly. You're morons. How often are people that buy Bitcoin called morons? Part of the reason this is named moron money. But how often are people, only idiots buy that? Billionaires say that all the time. They've been saying it for years. How often do they say that about the internet? A lot. And what the result of that was regular schlubs like you and I selling their AOL stock or their Apple stock or Microsoft. Imagine that, selling Apple in 1994. But people did it because they were told, hey, these, internet and tech stocks are garbage. And then when that happened and when the prices dropped, millionaires came in and billionaires came in and gobbled it all up. And then there were no shares left to be had at that low price. Very funny how that works. Almost like they knew something would happen. And then between 95 and 2000, you had the internet bubble and everything prices went crazy. Now, you can use that comparison as a bad thing because there were a lot of internet stocks that failed, and those would be the cum rockets of the world and the silly nonsense coins. A lot of those will fall off for sure. That's why I always say do your own research. Make sure you like a coin in the long term. See if it does anything, if there's any use cases for it, and learn what it does more than Dogecoin, which is literally a joke. And you can make transactions with it, which is interesting, but overall, it doesn't do anything. Excuse me. So look into all of coins. It's possible they do something, but I always say stick to the big dogs. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Litecoin, Chainlink, XRP. I wouldn't fear too far out of that pool. I've said I have Zilliqa and VeChain before, which is more of a gamble on my end. So I don't fray too far out of the main core the crypto world. But point is, you can look at the comparison to the internet bubble as a negative, but what I look at it as proof that manipulation works. And Teeka Tiwari cited the housing market as well. It is a constant throughout time and will continue to be throughout time, where the people who have money are very aware that they are trusted in the financial world and that what they say, uh, is influential. Yet they know how to get around the law. So, like when Jamie Dimon says, "Don't buy Bitcoin," and then J.P. Morgan in Europe starts buying Bitcoin, well, then that's just because Jamie Dimon knows that his words have power. So Teeka Tiwari did an excellent job of breaking this down. If you want to go check that out, Altcoin Daily has the video. I recommend it. But overall, my point is, how often do we see, we've talked about it nonstop now for months, I've brought it up, where we see governments like El Salvador, um, billionaires like George Soros, institutions like Mass Mutual, like Tesla, hedge funds and banks. I just told you about how 650 banks across the country, we talked about this yesterday on Patreon. 650 banks powered by NYDIG and NCR across the country are now offering cryptocurrency to their clients, which, I don't know if I would go through a bank to buy my cryptocurrency, but for a lot of people, it will be more trustworthy. So banks are basically seeing money leave their platforms and go to crypto exchanges. So every time you take money out of your account and it says Coinbase or Uphold or BlockFi or something, Binance on the other end, your bank is taking notice of that. And slowly but surely, they're going to start offering Bitcoin. What does that mean? How can they offer Bitcoin if they don't have any? Well, it means they do. So we keep seeing banks and hedge funds and institutions, peek their head into the Bitcoin world. And yet the people that lead these hedge funds and institutions say, don't get Bitcoin. You don't want Bitcoin. So be aware of that manipulation. I don't think cryptocurrency is going anywhere. I think the 12 years Bitcoin has been in existence is more than a fad, or maybe 13 now. It's more than a fad, clearly. I think digital currency is obviously the wave of the future. Maybe it won't be Bitcoin. I believe it will be. And people talk about government coins, like, the regulation they'll put on. I don't believe that any government will come up with anything as good as the cryptocurrencies we have now. Maybe someday there will be a new currency that will overtake Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that. But right now, those are obviously the leaders in the clubhouse. That's an understatement. But I believe the marketing behind them gives them such a head start. I think at this point, something can come out with better technology than Bitcoin or Ethereum, but just not have the power or the ability to catch up. So you are still very early, is my point. And people are talking about the price this weekend. What's it going to do? For the Wyckoff chart, if you're following that and you believe in that, then some outbreak should happen in the next couple days. People are saying basically that we're on the cusp of either breaking out to new all-time highs or dropping back down for the first time in a while to $24,000 or possibly even lower. Now, I don't know which of those are going to happen, or maybe neither. Maybe we stay around where we are for another few weeks or whatever. I do believe July is going to be a big month. That's not financial advice. I was very bad at trading, so I know nothing about what the market's going to do, and no one does really. So you shouldn't just have faith in anyone like that. But my point is, I lost my train of thought. Boy, this memory is getting bad of mine. As I was saying, no one knows what's going to happen in the market. So be hesitant, but just know that I believe you're very early right now. And a lot of other people believe that too. That when you see, $32,000, $33,000, that seems like a lot of money. You can buy fractional shares and your money goes up the same percentage as everyone else's. So if you believe in Bitcoin but feel like you're too early or it's too expensive or anything, don't worry about that too much. But you should be worried in the sense if you believe in it or not. So do your own research. I know I keep saying that, but I say it not just for legal reasons, but I also think it's very important because when I didn't know a lot about Bitcoin, it caused me to panic. So I bought a full Bitcoin about a year ago at $9,000. I saw the price go down $200 in an hour or something. And I said, this is too rich for my blood. Goodbye. No, thank you. And then a couple months later, I started learning about Bitcoin and what it did and what people believe it will be and believe it can be. And then I started learning about other cryptocurrencies and the comparisons to Bitcoin. And I started learning who holds Bitcoin and why they hold Bitcoin and how long they've held Bitcoin. And then I started to actually believe in it. And then I bought back in at a about double the rate. So that's a cautionary tale for you if you're thinking about getting in the Bitcoin world. I don't believe you're too late, but do as you wish and let me know what you're going to do in the comments because it helps the channel. It's a free way to support the channel by liking, subscribing, tapping the notification bell, and leaving a comment. This is a small YouTube channel, and I'd like to grow it, as I said. But also leaving a comment with whatever information you have, that helps people as well. So people could be watching this and watching the drivel spilling out of my mouth, and then see whatever you leave as a comment and say, oh, that's pretty interesting. Let me look into that as well. So it all helps in multiple ways, if you'd be so kind. And like I said, on patreon.com/blindmike, we do 2 bonus episodes of More on Money every week. And you can also get the Blind Mike Project and all sorts of other fun stuff we've got cooking back there on Patreon. So check all of that out. If you'd be so kind, Blind Mike Proj on Twitter, Blind Mike Project on Instagram, and I'm Blind Mike _, if you didn't know that already, on Twitter. And until next time, folks. For those of you on Patreon, there may not be a Sunday episode, but there will be one when I get back on Monday or Tuesday. I figure I won't be around on the 4th of July, but a lot of you guys won't be either, so I might as well do it on a day where you'll actually watch it. So just be aware of that if you watch on Patreon. And until then, keep making money, folks.